Thanks for being a part of Decision 2023 for Sullivan County Legislature. Coming to you from the Black Library in Monticello, I'm Mike Sikel, News Director for Catskills News. Thanks to MidHudsonNews.com. We'd also like to thank all of our candidates who have been participating. Laborers Local 17 is a proud sponsor of Decision 2023. Feel the strength of thousands of diverse and productive laborers constructing Sullivan County's water, sewer, roadways, and energy infrastructure, earning great wages, health care, and a pension. Feel the power of a career with Laborers Local 17. Visit liuna17.com to start on your career path today. There are two legislators unopposed in this year's election. In District 6, legislators Luis Alvarez and District 7, legislator Joseph Perello. I took the time to sit down with both of the candidates and ask some of the same questions heard throughout this debate series and give voters in District 6 and 7 an opportunity to hear what they have to say. We're speaking with District 6 legislator Luis Alvarez. And Louis, you've been in the legislature now, former legislative chair. How many years?
It's going to be 8 years.
8 years, so you're
yes.
Going through your third...
No, this will be my third term.
Third term, right, going into this year and this election. So let's start with the economy. You know, we spoke a little bit about the housing issues and just general economic issues right now. And, you know, the legislature is looking at, the future legislature is looking at dealing with some of the changes, especially in the Medicaid disbursements come this year. You know, there were some changes in the budget and all. Up till now, the legislature, and when I say up to now, within the last couple of years since the COVID pandemic, you know, you've had a cushion. You've had an economy that also had additional funds distributed through the state, through the federal level. Things look like they might very well change. I mean, are you concerned about that? And what, as a legislator, can you do to keep our economy strong?
I am really very, very much concerned. As you may know, I belong both to the National Association of County, and especially I'm a board member of the New York State County Association. And this is one of the topics that we speak a lot about and how it affects the county. A lot of times people forget that Sullivan County has a lot of demands, and demands, I will say, the government, the state of New York tells us, you're responsible for this, you're responsible for this, and you're responsible for this. And when that happens, where's the money going to come to do that? Sometimes they send it back to us, like saying, you ask the taxpayers to pay for that. So all of these requirements that they put on a county is very stressful. So when you start back again, coming into the new period, and there's a new board, one of the first things we have to do is really look into what's coming in, what do we need, how are we going to, divide this, how are we going to get the money to get it done, because we are required to do those things, and the government puts it on us, and we have to get the money to be able to do it.
Are there any specific projects that you might be looking at that you feel would make a difference within the county?
The Medicaid, Medicare one is very cost to the county. And to say that I know exactly what's happening right now, it's not correct. When they finalize the details and how much money was coming back to us, then we can sit back and say, we have to do this, or we have to do this other portion. We have to allocate the funds for this on that. So we call it at the county level. Those are the demands they put on us. Those are the requirements that the state comes in, and this is what.
And unfunded mandates, which has always been an issue.
Yeah, and unfunded mandates. You really don't get the picture until the last moment of the state budget and what the governor is doing and what is going to come. Now, being in the association, I have a lot of advantage to see this much before it happens. And many times I speak to the county manager and we talk about these incidents. We see what was going on and we try to figure out how it's coming and where the money is going. And then we have to sit back and speak to the rest of the legislators and put it together so everybody understands where it's coming from.
Well, how about, some of the financial input that we get? Tourism is a big part of the economy. And so I'll ask you the question about the bed tax. There was a big discussion. There was a percentage of the bed tax that was taken away from the original contract with the Sullivan County Visitors Association. And essentially, there's a chunk of money that's sitting in an account somewhere. And it seems the legislature can't really figure that out. I mean, what's the next step?
Why stop something that is working? Where does this money came from? It came from the work done by the Sullivan County Visitor Association. I didn't do it. They did it. They got the money. They got us the money. They put the money in there. You may have some ideas, and we all have good ideas. We all have the same kind of ideas. Maybe I do want you to spend some of that money on all the different kind of activities. They're already doing it. Why not tell them? And I agree with Joe Perrell on this. Why not go and tell them, this is what we want. Can you do this? Can you fix this for us? You're already getting the money. You already have it there. You already have the connections. Maybe you need to hire somebody else that's going to actually do that for me. So let's see.
But keep it within the SCBA?
Yeah, make a calendar of all the activities of Sullivan County run by them. Everybody comes to them and says, this is what I have. Fishing contest, this over here, this over here. Let them put that money, that extra money, to promote that activity. So everybody else in Sullivan County, anybody who's sitting home right now, or somebody in the city, say, hey, look, they have a bird contest here. This guy, Perello, has birds here. Or we're going to have a fishing contest. And put all of this together to bring more people into Sullivan County so we can get more money into Sullivan County.
Are you in support of the, a couple of the main focuses that seem to be right now is the Route 97 corridor and also the rail trail projects? I mean, that currently, the way the legislators have been operating, those are two really high profile tourist projects, tourist attractions. Would you continue with that?
Yes, the rail to trail was actually one of the projects that was really expanded more when I was the chairman of the county. That's how it started. We were at that time with Senator Bonasac heavily involved in getting the money from the state. Now, this project that the state of New York has, it's not only including Sullivan County, it's including adjacent counties to us. Actually, you can walk all the way from the city through all these trails all the way through, go all the way to Albany, go all the way to Buffalo. And a lot of people don't realize that that is happening. And more than you can imagine, a lot of the people in New York State love doing that. And it's very well, people even write books about their experience in walking that. Yes, I'm very, very much in promoter over it. Route 97, I lived it. In all the years that I worked for the sheriff department, that was one of the routes I always travel, and it is amazing to turn around. I remember, like, it could be some incident, like I remember going to Lander's campground because there were so many Hispanics there, and the food and the cooking, and everybody comes from the city and they want to come up to Route 97, they want to use our camps, they want to use our facility. Why not promote it? Now, why not bring money into the county?
Let's talk a little bit about the opioid and substance misuse problem, something you're well versed in as a former Sullivan County Sheriff's deputy and DARE officer for many years and all that. So, the legislature, again, just released a lot of those opioid settlement funds. There was a lot of debate on what should be targeted, who should be targeted, how it should work. They have been dispersed to various agencies. So what's the next step as a legislator in terms of overseeing all these projects?
This project started was Dan, which actually the Albany deputy county executive. He's actually an attorney. He's also running right now. Also, I was the chairman of the county, and I got a call from Steve Aquarium from the New York State County Association telling me, do we want to participate in this? And he told me the whole story behind it. So all the way from the beginning, I knew what the story and why it was going through.
In terms of the settlement funds?
Yes, the settlement funds. What I believe very strongly, and I didn't realize this until the years now, for 20 years I taught in the schools. And I had the kids, and it starts in 5th grade. But a DARE officer is continuously in the school with the kids, and you were involved with the kids, and you listened to the kids. It wasn't until now, as a legislator, in the last 4 or 5 years, that more and more of my students are coming and saying, thank you so much for what you taught me. And then you have some of them that'll come back and says, I should have listened to you. And there's some of them that I lost and I've seen them. But I think, not because somebody's telling me, I think because I'm living it. When they come to me and they talk to me, I'm a state trooper. I'm a deputy sheriff. The kid is a deputy sheriff um, right now, and he shows me a picture of him and me when he graduated from fifth grade. So does it tell you that they're listening to what you're saying? It's the way you portray the message. It's the way how you tell them. It's how you show the example. I remember when Mike says, if you're a dare officer, please don't go to a bar and drink. And you really have to remember to stay within their perimeters, to be the person that they can look at and follow in your steps. But I lived it, and I'm still living it. And I still get the kids coming to me, the ones that say thank you, and the other ones that. So I do believe, strongly believe, in more education in advance, and then through the opioids committees together, everybody see what else do we need, what else can we do. We have to stop them from bringing the drugs into here. We have to get treatments for them so they can cure them. We got to give them a reason in the future so they can look at it. All of this has to be worked together among ourselves and use the money for that. We got the money, let's use it.
Well, so recently the county finally got its HIDTA designation,
Yes,
and that was, big news.
yes.
The high intensity drug trafficking area. Yeah, how does law enforcement play a role in this? I know it's a broad question, but now with that and additional funds, and I know there's been support from the legislature, of course, for the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office. Um, what's their role in battling this problem?
And overall, battling this problem gives the law enforcement agencies a way of all of them working together. This is Sullivan County. That means that Liberty PD, Monticello PD, Fallsburg PD, the federal government, all the different agencies that work together in this now are teamed together to share the information, to know where it's coming and how it's coming. It's there's a lot of more details to it involved, and there's more details that some of the different agencies are going to keep to themselves, but they won't tell you. But they're out there doing the job, and this will give us the fund, the equipment, and the ability to connect with all the other people of what's going on.
Right, right. How about on the level of the people that are suffering from substance misuse? We ask the stigma question, and stigma is always an issue. I mean, you hear that from the medical professionals, from so many organizations that are dealing with this issue. So, I mean, what do you have any ideas on how stigma plays a role, and what you can do at a
Stigma,
community level to change that?
you know something? Stigma destroys the family. You don't probably don't see it, but through the years, I would have parents come to me. My son is using drugs, or my daughter's involved in this, and his. When it comes to you being a parent, I'm a father. I got a boy and a girl and grandkids. We got 9 grandkids. You want to see the best for them. And when this starts taking a toll on your family, when it's taking over you, there's nothing else that you're thinking other than how can I really solve this problem? And this can happen to any family. It doesn't really matter if it's a poor family, if it's a rich family. Um, what drives the kid to do that, or what drives the person to do that? It's a combination of things all together. So yes, the stigma does affect you. Um, I to the parents that are out there that are listening to this, I'm pretty sure that they can tell you they don't want this for their families. They wish that this was never there, and it does take a toll in your life. It does do a number on you.
Yeah. Do you think there's anything that can be done to? I mean, uh, there's work on changing the whole concept of stigma, but do you think on the local level, and even as a legislator, anything that can be done to really help that process?
Yes, yeah. There's. I think it's a process that we really have to go into with open eyes and work it. Is it going to be easy? It's not easy. Do I have all the answers to what has to be done? I don't have all the answers. Do we have to do something? We have to do something. We have to unite with the people, different people. There's so many people out there in this community that I know that are always willing to help and work and help the people that have those problems. They are.
Mhm.
They're out there. You just got to.
Yeah. How about mental health? And the overall, I mean, substance misuse, of course, is tied in a certain percentage with mental health. But again, the call from a lot of the agencies here is there's just no space there. The beds aren't available, or that we need to do something to better the process. So what can the legislature do about that?
Actually, we have a good into it was Eileen Gunter, is a senator who's in that specific committee. But it's something that we do have to. There's no beds, no capabilities here as much as we wish we had. We got to sit back on the table and try to put this together. It's needed. It's really like I like the idea of having the cops, and normally a police officer will know, like, this is the advantage of a local police department like Monticello Liberty PD and the sheriff department. We know our community.
Mhm.
We know where the people are. So once you're answering to this call in the 911, the way the 911 works, they have records on everything that's happening. So they'll tell you in advance, this is what you're going to see. Have somebody who's dealing with mental health, have a caseworker, somebody go with you to
Come with you?
come
Yeah.
with you and work.
That's been suggested, and I think some, communities are already doing
Yes.
that. So you'd be in favor of that, having
Oh,
mental health professionals actually accompany law enforcement in the field,
yes.
that
I
kind
would
of
be in
thing?
favor of it, and like I told you, people don't realize the work that 911 does.
Mhm.
They tell you in advance. There's been 2 or 3 domestics there. There's been so many mental health. When you go there, you're prepared in your mind what you have to do. Cops do that automatically. Once they answer a call, you're already in your mind. What am I going into?
Mhm.
Is there a gun in that house? Is there something happening in that house? You're prepared. But more prepared is when EMS, when that ambulance corps that responds, could be in the town of Lumberland, could be some other place. They tell you, hey, this guy is this way, and in advance you know that.
Mhm.
And it could be as simple as offering a person. I remember a person in one of the towns wanted a cigarette. Just offering a person a cigarette was enough to lower down and calm the person down. But the only way you can do this is through the whole system working together. You can't work it alone.
Mhm.
It's not going to work that way. And
No, it's interesting insight. It is. How about, yeah, and because we're a little limited on time, I want to cover as many subjects as we can. But staying on the subject of public health and just the health system in general, were you at the recent meeting with Garnet Health
yes,
and the administrators there? I mean, do you feel following that meeting, aside from all the cutbacks and the adjustments that they're making, that they're committed to having the right amount of care here in Sullivan County?
you know, I'm just going to talk from experience. Was and I listened to them, and I happen to really agree with what they want to do and how they're doing it, and I believe in, and I'm taking them on their words, and this is what they're going to do. I've never known them to say something and do something else,
Mhm.
but for all the periods of time that my wife was still alive and she was sick, going to Casco Regional Hospital was something that once you got there, they knew you were coming. They were waiting for you. Or once you logged in, they looked in your name, and I got an outstanding service. And I'm not the only one who's going to tell you. There's many people that you sit there and you see the people, those nurses, those personnel. Um, it was more, how do you call it? They embrace you more faster than you would do in another hospitals in other places because the demand for the hospital is tremendously. You go to Middletown, you're going to sit there. I sat there for 12 hours waiting so they could see my wife for blood transfusion. That never happens at Casco Regional Hospital.
So you're satisfied with their
Oh,
I
no,
mean, on the local level,
yeah, no, no. You
you're
walk in
satisfied.
there, then and they have this like my wife had the shunt in her brain, so they would go on the TV and connect with Westchester County, and they had a doctor from Westchester County, and they were sharing all the information. So they have the ability to do that as a big hospital, but they're not a big hospital. They don't have specialists on the heart. So if I need somebody to check something on my stent, I have to go to Orange County and make the arrangements with
Mhm.
them. But they got the rest there.
Let's talk a little bit about just changing the subject here, the housing issue, because affordable housing is, it's a top of mind issue, definitely. So, how do you encourage more residential housing construction? I mean, how does that work? We had another interview with Joe Perello, and he's in the business. He spoke a lot about the numbers, but as as a legislator at that level, how do you encourage that sort of thing?
He's in the business, and I tell you, he he does uh, an amazing job in the constructions and what he does there. But I gotta tell you, I don't know how the young people and people moving here. I do know for a fact in the town of Liberty, there's a company doing a lot of constructions for different people living in there, and they're also
Like low income type of
yes,
construction, multiple housing construction?
yeah,
Yeah.
they have their own projects going on, but they're also like doing constructions inside the Village of Liberty and working and fixing up houses to support their personnel that live in Sullivan County. But it's expensive.
No.
It's cost
Well,
us.
and in the terms of young people, attracting young people, you want to bring young people back to Sullivan
Yes,
County. What are some of the other things that can be done?
you know, I don't know how we can, that's not something I really have so much of a knowledge of it, but I do see the need of it. If you want to bring young people here, if you want to work in family here, you have to have affordable housing for them. And how do we do that, and how do we communicate this? We did. One of the few things that I started when I was the chairman was the able to get money to be building houses, and I forgot the name of what it
In
was.
terms of a loan program, first time home buyers
No,
program?
it was first time home buyers. When it happened originally, and I can't remember how many years ago. And I know it was a friend of mine was one of the first one. He just paid off his mortgage almost 20 years later.
Sure.
This is,
Yeah.
but oh my, it just slipped out of my mind. But there was a group. We went to Newburgh. We learned from Newburgh how to buy houses. How
A Rushco.
uh, yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, we were working on that. We've been working on that here in Sullivan County too,
Hmm.
trying to
Yeah.
get it, and we get the money from different sources at the same time, and we build the houses. But if you're a young person starting with a new job and buying a car and doing all of this together, housing, it's almost impossible, especially if you have kids and then you have to, you know, my son and my daughter-in-law are both professionals, and I sit back and I'm like, I don't know how they do it.
It's a challenge. It is definitely a challenge. We're running short on time. I'm sure there's plenty of other questions people have, but no secret that you just went through the civil lawsuit between yourself and Legislature Chair Rob Doherty. And I don't want to get into the personalities here. This has been hashed out in the media. People have their own opinions about this, but I do want to ask you just a more broad question as to moving forward after November. What do you think should be the prime focus of leadership in the legislature? What would you like to see?
I would like to, and I'm just going to go by my experience when I was the chairman of the county. One of the functions that the chairman of the county has is to coordinate the different committees, listen to the committees. You take an example of Joe Perello. He was saying he didn't want, he was in charge of DPW, Department of Public Work, doing the roads and doing constructions. And sometimes we sit and we don't always agree. But one thing we did is if he told me he didn't want to borrow money, he didn't want to do this, and he put out his plans of how we should set, you can see that I let the committee do that. It's impossible for a person to sit as a chairman and try to run all the committees and get everything. You can't do that. So Joe says to me, "Why do you want to pave the roads in Fremont Center?" I says, "Have you ever been to the Fremont Center? Have you seen those roads? Have you seen the holes? Have you seen how the trees block the sun?" "Well, no, you take me." So we went up to the road, we looked at the roads, we drove. I have the experience of working for this county for 40 something years, so I know the roads. So all of these things that we have to do, go back to the committees, let the chairman of that particular committee run his committee, make the decisions, and then let the chairman coordinate all the activities together. Come out with a plan from the beginning. I used to do that. I used to have the first before we started the meeting, I used to explain to the public what we were doing. We already had plans set up and which way we were going and how we were going to do things there, and follow that program and
Yeah.
follow those ideas and open the doors to other more ideas. Open it up. You know, we get elected for the people. We get elected by the people, and we work for the people.
So would you reconsider or consider going up for the chairmanship again in January?
It's up to them if they want to elect me. I will consider it again and do it again.
All right. District 6 Legislator Luis Alvarez, thank you very much for this time. I really appreciate it.
No
Thank
problem.
you,
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks for being a part of these Decision 2023 debates for Sullivan County Legislature, coming to you from the Black Library in Monticello. I'm Mike Sikel, News Director for Catskills News. I'd also like to thank our news partner, Mid-Hudson News, and of course, our candidates. Laborers Local 17 is a proud sponsor of Decision 2023. Visit liuna17.com to start on your career path today. Find these Decision 2023 debates on a number of platforms, including Catskills News Talk 92.5 and 94.9, as well as MidHudsonNews.com, plus Mid-Hudson News YouTube channel and the Catskills News podcast. Thank you for being a part of Decision 2023.